Podcast City Network.
Listener discretion is advised.
It is time to play.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show. Let's go! A shot of entertainment to the head.
No doubt.
Sit back, relax, put your drinks up, and enjoy the entertainment.
Okay.
Now we come to the payoff.
Let's rock.
Welcome to the Everett Lee Show podcast. I'm Everett Lee. Quick shout out to everyone that follows me on Twitter. You can follow me at the Everett _Lee, Facebook.com/the Everett Lee. Click that thumbs up. And of course, Podcast City Network, the official host of the Everett Lee Show. And it looks like my media player just froze up on me. Oh well, I guess the technical difficulties is still rearing its ugly head here on the Everett Lee Show. But you know what? That's not going to stop me tonight on this podcast, because I have a great podcast lined up for you tonight here on the Everett Lee Show. And I have a guest. My guest is waiting online right now on the phone. He co-host or partner with, however you want to look at it, Movie Nights podcast. I want to welcome to the program tonight Dalton. How do you say your last name? I forgot to ask you about that before we went live. I suck at that.
It's all good. Burdette.
Burdette. Welcome to the Everett Lee Show podcast. How you doing, Dalton?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me. Really, really appreciate it, and I'm happy to be on.
No problem. Love having you on. Love having new people come on that's not been on the podcast, on the program, and especially with Movie Nights podcast joining the Podcast City Network. That is awesome. I am so happy you guys are part of the network, and tonight we're just going to have some discussion and talk about who you are and what you do. And the first thing I want to ask is, where did you grow up at?
Great question. I kind of somewhat grew up in two places. The main place I grew up, where I was born, well, I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, but I lived in Indiana, but right on the border of Ohio and Kentucky, in that little tri-state area right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in a town that has I don't know, maybe 1,600 people in it, little town called Milan, Indiana. It is actually the place. You ever see the movie Hoosiers? Have you heard that movie?
Sounds familiar. Familiar.
It's this movie they made with Gene Hackman. And it's about this small town basketball team that won the state championship. And the movie was based on that town. They didn't call it that in the movie for legal reasons, but that's the town I'm from, and the only reason I spit that out is because whenever you go to Milan, that's what they love telling new people. It's like, hey, you ever see Hoosiers? Hey, you ever see Hoosiers? It's like their thing. And, I not a whole lot to talk about there, so, you got to hold on to what you got. I lived there until I was about 11 years old, then moved on down to Florida, and I grew up I kind of finished growing up in a place called Citrus County, Florida, which, Bambi taught us a really important lesson when we were young about if you don't have anything nice to say. And while I kind of mostly do that for exaggeration, what I will give Citrus County, Florida, is that there are a lot of really good people who really do everything they can to make sure that community, stays alive and stays welcoming to everyone.
Right.
A handful of people. And, I really appreciate those people, because I've gotten a lot of support from people in Citrus County, and it's really, really, really been nice to know that, where I kind of went to high school and graduated from, people are supporting me, and hoping that I grow into something nice. And the best part is they all usually agree with me about the feelings of that place. So, I get away with some jokes here and then about it.
That's cool. That is. I like that. I definitely like that. Now, what was some of your favorite films growing up?
Oh, the $1 million question. Movies are kind of, I live and breathe them, and then, kind of made a podcast about it, makes sense. But
right.
I'd say, there's a handful, but just hitting the basics, one of them's got to be Jaws. That movie, changed my life when I saw it. I saw it when I was really, really young, but I didn't catch the whole thing. My family was watching it, and I, stepped into the room, and I wasn't supposed to, and it was right at the part where the shark jumped on the boat and ate somebody. And that was the first thing. It was the first thing my little eyes saw from that movie, and I was just like, oh my God, and I got scared and ran away. And then later I ended up watching the whole movie.
Right.
And I knew there was something about that movie that I just couldn't quite get my hands on, why I loved it so much. And for the longest time I thought it was sharks. I was like, you know what, when I was 9 years old, I was like, all right, marine biology is what I'm doing, got to protect the sharks. And then as I learned how much school you have to go to be a marine biologist, I was like, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's not sharks. And then I, would watch the movie over and over again, and I was like, no, it's the movie. It's how it was made. This is such just a beautifully crafted film. And, kind of fell in love with that movie. All the, the Star Wars trilogy, Rocky is another one. And the reason I kind of love Rocky so much is people watch Rocky throughout time, and they're like, oh, it's a boxing movie. But really, when you watch that movie carefully, it's not a movie about boxing. It's a love story about someone who is really good looking but isn't very smart, who finds somebody who isn't very good looking but is very smart.
Right.
And how their differences brought them together, and how they both thought they could escape their families and escape who they are if they stayed with each other.
Right.
Because, spoiler alert if you've never seen Rocky, but if you've never seen Rocky, what is wrong with you? But they're at the end of the movie, they announce who the winner of the fight is, and it's almost brushed off screen. You really have to listen to hear that, because all Rocky cares about is just seeing Adrian again. That's all. He's just looking through the crowd, the famous scream, Sylvester Stallone, Adrian, and he's just looking.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful ending to that movie. And when I saw that you can make great character pieces but disguise it as this, big sports movie, I was like, that's so genius, and how they did that. Now the sequels kind of, that's when they became, Rah Rah America, boxing, Rocky, and that's still all great.
Yeah.
Rocky 4 is a good time, but
yeah.
I really liked Rocky. And another one that really, really got me, and it kind of got me in not only just movies but superheroes. I love superheroes, and it was the original 1978 Superman movie with Christopher Reeves.
Yes.
Oh my God! Even now, when I watch that, I just get the biggest smile on my face, and I feel like I can just save the world. Just the amount of joy. I feel like if you psychiatrists, if they have patients with depression, part of the description would be to just watch Superman once a week, and I feel like you would get better. It's just such a happy movie.
It is. That's the Superman. That's the Superman I grew up with. That's the one that when I was a kid, when I was about 9 years old, well, actually, probably about 9 or 10, Superman, Christopher Reeve, that one was Superman 1 and 2 were the best. The third one, when I was a kid, that scared the crap out of me, man, because it just, especially towards the end scene, when the computer gets a hold of that lady and turns her into all, robotic and stuff. And then I didn't care too much about the fourth one. I thought the fourth one just was... Yeah.
And we don't talk about that.
yeah, we don't. We don't, because of everything that went on with that. But the Rocky movies, I'm a fan of the Rocky. I'm a fan of Stallone, man. I'm a fan of his movies and stuff. One of my favorite movies from the 80s that Stallone did, besides the Rocky movies, was Cobra. That's one of my favorite movies there. Yeah, Cobra.
Cobra.
Yeah.
such a guilty pleasure movie.
It
Just
is.
him with the sunglasses and jacket just being the world's biggest badass.
I know. My favorite line out of that movie is, "You're the virus, I'm the cure."
I'm the cure. Yeah.
I love that.
Such a classic movie.
I love that. The car
so
is
good. And,
great. The car he drove was just awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Rambo movies, First Blood and then First Blood Part 2 was just two of the best. And then when the third one, it wasn't really that great though. But when he came back and did the Rambo standalone movie, it was just called Rambo. That movie was badass. The last few minutes of that movie, when he's taking out those soldiers, man, and he's on that gun, just shooting everyone down. I was reading that Stallone, they had to shoot that part right there a few times because the gun kept falling off, and they had to stop and put it back on, put it back on, and they had to cut that so many times. But like you mentioned, Jaws. That was another one. Jaws 1 and 2 were my favorite. The third one, I didn't really care too much for when it was based in Disneyland, Disney World, or SeaWorld, whatever it was. I mean, that, and then
Jaws, and like the big draw was like they made it 3D, and it was like Jaws 3D or something. It's just like, it's cringy when you watch it.
Yeah, it is. It is so cringy. And the fourth one is just horrible. I don't mean, like Jaws, the Revenge. The shark's gonna swim all the way down to the Bahamas and go after the family. It's like, what's he have? Fucking GPS on him, It's like they're down in the Bahamas. Dun, 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 dun. Come on, man.
Yeah, I was actually watching an interview with Michael Caine because he's in that movie, and they were like, "Do you have any like ill feelings toward Jaws: The Revenge?" And he was like, "Hell no, that movie got me a nice ass house."
I know it banked. It banked money. I mean, the movie did great. Jaws 4 did great, but critics and fans were like, no. The first two were the Jaws that you'd really have to watch. If you've never seen Jaws, those are the two movies that you need to see right there. Jaws 1, Jaws 2. And, I mean, the best thing about the third Jaws, actually, is Dennis Quaid was in it, and that's about it.
No. And it's just one of those things, like, you forget he's in it until, like, it's on TV or something, and you're like, holy shit, Dennis Quaid was in it. Yeah,
you forget about it. Yeah, you definitely forget about that. Yeah.
And, like, going back to Stallone for a second, what people don't understand is, like, he's an actual, like, genius. His IQ is very, very high, and he writes screenplays a lot. And, another movie that he did that I really like that not many people see, and it came out in the 90s. I think it was the 90s or late 80s. It's directed by James Mangold. It was called Copland.
Copland, yes. I remember Copland, man. I remember seeing the advertisement and stuff.
Such a good movie.
I've never actually sat down and seen it because he actually gained weight for that role to be a cop. And that came out around my senior year of high school. I remember that. It has Stallone in it, and don't it have Harvey Keitel? He's in it too, I believe.
Yes, I believe he is in it.
Yeah, another great actor right there, Harvey Keitel. I believe he's in one of my other favorite movies, Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah, and then of course Pulp Fiction and the Quentin Tarantino.
Oh yeah,
movies.
the Tarantino stuff. Oh
yes, yeah, the Quentin Tarantino. You a fan of his work?
Yeah, I like his work a lot. There's a couple movies I haven't seen, but I've seen most of them. And the thing is though, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's such a good director. I think he's a good director, but what really blows me away is his writing. His writing is so good.
Yeah.
Like not just, story and character arcs, but he's the king of dialogue.
Yeah,
like
he is.
My favorite Tarantino movie is Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, mine too.
And I love the opening when they're just sitting at a diner talking about how he doesn't like to tip people. Yeah. And like literally this movie about a heist just opens up with these guys talking about how, he's like, I don't like tipping, I don't believe in it. Does this whole speech, and then it cuts to them like running from the cops. And and any other writer tries that's very jarring and it doesn't work. But there's just a way that he made those characters so real that when you're watching it, it's like you were sitting at the table with them.
Exactly. And since you mentioned diner, that's the same diner where Pulp Fiction, the beginning of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's connected and stuff. And I found out recently that Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino spent $8 million to make it, and he ended up paying $5 million to the salary to the actors and actresses. $5 million went to that though.
Oh yeah.
He made it back because it was such a hit. And then I found out that if you look at all the clocks in the movie, they're all set at 4:20. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, if you look at all the clocks in that movie, if you go back and watch it, all the clocks, if you see a scene with the clock, it's set at 4:20. I thought that was interesting.
I didn't know that. That's great. I got to go back and watch that now.
Yeah, you definitely got to go back and watch that. You definitely do. Now, you attended UCF, right? How was that, attending UCF?
For the most part, it was wonderful. I loved UCF. I love the campus. I love, most of the people. Then there's some people that just, shouldn't be in college at all. And then, but obviously, you're going to have one or two complaints about, where you're going to school.
Right.
But it was nothing. It was nothing that was major. No major thing that made me dislike where I was. I mostly really enjoyed it. I majored in film. Shocker.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I wish was different, and they changed it my last semester there. It's like there's two film programs. There's the film BFA, which is like the high class bougie film student one.
Yeah.
And then there's the film BA, just the regular Bachelor of Arts. And, if you do the BFA class, you have to apply and get accepted and all that stuff. And if you do the BFA class, that's when you get classes directing actors on the screen, things like that, very hands-on classes. And if you did the BA classes, it was mostly a lot of just, pre-level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my last semester, they combined the programs, and you didn't have to apply anymore. And I was like, really? Because I applied to be in it twice, and after I got denied twice, I was like, it's not worth it. And and the thing is, I think that they kind of realized they were looking for, in the application, one of the big things was to send in drawings, and I was like, man, I don't know if they know this or not, but whenever my hand hits paper, I just turn into Michael J. Fox, and I can't do anything. So I'm just trying to I can't draw to save my life. My seventh grade art teacher told me that I had negative artistic ability when it comes to drawing. So I'm I don't think they understand that I'm decent with a camera, but when you put a pen and paper in my hand, it's chicken scratch.
Right.
But it's different now, and I'm glad it's different for other people, for the new kids coming in. But it was just something that you always kind of look at, man, I wish I could have done that. Wish I could have done that. And then last semester they're like, hey, good news, everybody. They're combining the programs, and I was like, God. Come on, man.
That's kind of that's almost in a way where, remember ITT Tech, they all these people that was just about to get to graduate, they filed bankruptcy and they closed all the schools down, and people who had credits, they had to go to another college to finish up their year and graduate from another college. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous how they did that.
Yeah, that
is.
No bueno.
It is. And you mentioned already being at UCF, you majored in film. How was that? What did you pick up, and what did you take that you apply to what you do with your major? Mostly,
when I was fortunate in that, I did a lot of just studying on my own in high school, and even early or late middle school, just studying everything, just consuming any content I could, movies, things about movies, just everything I can, trying to learn the different ways of making them, different ways of appreciating them, criticizing them. So by the time I got to UCF, a lot of the early classes, I was kind of I kind of know this stuff, I kind of know what they're talking about. But they taught me all the technical terms. I didn't know the actual terms for things. And so I learned some of those, and there's some I still don't know, to be honest with you. And they also taught me a lot of film history that I didn't know, which, you'd think it isn't that important when it comes to trying to make films, but
Right.
when you just see how things were done, like, and I'm talking like 1920s, like when you see how movies were made, and just not just the physical technicality of the filmmaking, but like the minds of Hollywood, the producers, the different levels of censorship they had to go through and how it all adjusted.
Right.
Not only do you grow more of an appreciation, but you also grow more of an open mind as to how to do things. Because, you know, you can think of a way like a limited headspace, like, man, I don't really know how to do this. And I'm like, well, shit, in 1920, they literally made a guy like almost disappear on camera. So obviously I got to be able to learn how to do, you know, it's not going to be that hard if they did it in 1920.
Right.
So, you know, it's just stuff like that. And I also learned on the producing side of things just how important it is to, you know, learn how to be a producer, or at least get someone who's good at producing, and mostly legal stuff.
Right.
I learned so much about like the technical legal just terms and like things you can get sued for, and it's insane. Like in one of my classes, they had an entertainment lawyer come in, and someone was just asking like, all right, what's something that we should know like to really get us in like the head of like how important, you know, the legal thing is.
Right.
And this guy was the lawyer for the directors of the Blair Witch Project because they graduated from UCF.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And ironically, they were BA students, not BFA students. So, but he was their lawyer, and he was like, there was a part in the Blair Witch Project where they're walking through the woods, and one of them jokingly says, like, makes a reference and does like 2 lines of the Gilligan's Island song.
Right.
Like he was just like walking and like made a joke. Like it might have even been improvised by the actor.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure about, but it might have been. And they were all, because basically we were talking about E&O insurance, which is a type of insurance to make sure like people you pay for, but people go through every square inch of your movie and make sure there's nothing like liable in there about what you could get sued for.
Yeah.
And those lawyers were watching the movie, and they called the directors and they were like, "Do you have the rights to use the Gilligan's Island song?" And they were like, "No, like what? We didn't play the song." And he goes, "No, at this time, at this place, this actor said 2 lines from the song in succession from the song. If you want that to stay in the movie, you're gonna have to get the rights to the song."
Oh my God.
And it was just like, yeah, like it's insane.
That's
like,
almost like
how careful you had to be.
Yeah, that's almost like Gene Simmons from Kiss. He's like patent and copyrighted almost everything underneath the sun. And if you don't get his permission to use something, man, he'll come after your ass. Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, another musician who was like that was actually Prince. He would never let any movie use his music unless he was doing the original music for that movie.
Yeah.
And the first movie to use music from him was after he died. It was Kingsman 2. And it was after he died, and his estate gave Kingsman 2 permission to play Let's Go Crazy in one of the fight scenes.
Oh,
and
no way.
that was the first time a Prince song was in a movie that he was not in.
Wow. That's amazing.
Or didn't do the original soundtrack for, because he did the soundtrack for Batman. But
yeah, he did. Yeah. I remember the video to that, man. Bat Dance. That was great. That's another one of my favorite movies right there. Batman with Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Tim Burton. That guy is crazy. He's directed some crazy movies. He has.
And I'm in the weird minority in that I think Batman Returns is like infinitely better than the first Batman. Like and I know it's like not the popular thing to say, but like I love that whack-ass movie with the Penguin and Catwoman, and just that was like, because the first Batman to me was Tim Burton kind of dipping his toe in the water, and then the second movie was him just like, welcome to my world, bitches, and just made a Batman movie, and it was so whack and awesome.
Yeah, the first one, they did the advertising and the marketing for that, it wasn't that bad. But for the second one, I remember they went all out on the marketing and stuff for the second one. There's I found, or someone posted up on Facebook that I know a while back ago, or I found someone put up, it was like I forgot what anniversary for Batman Returns, and someone put up they found the old commercial for I think it was like McDonald's or something for Batman Returns. Yeah, I was like, I remember that was playing during the summer. I went went to the theaters and actually seen that. I was staying with my mom at the time for the summer. She lived up in West Virginia, and I met some friends during that summer that lived in the same area she lived in, and we went out and seen Batman Returns right there. And I remember the advertising and marketing for that. I will say, what is it, Batman Forever? The marketing and advertising for that was insane.
Yeah.
I still have put up somewhere. I got to find it because I like to get them out and set them up and put them out for show when I have guests come over. I collected and I got all 4 of the clear Batman Forever cups that McDonald's was selling. I got all 4. I got the whole collection.
Really?
Yeah, which is pretty cool. They were pretty cool, and that was actually, I know that movie right there gets heat. I mean, not like Batman and Robin did, but that one got some heat for it though. But if you look back at it, it was just a fun movie. I mean, you had Jim Carrey going all crazy as a Riddler, Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. I still would have preferred Billy D. Williams, but
because he was in the Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah, he was supposed to be Harvey Dent in the third Batman. If you go on YouTube, there's a video I found a while back ago, and it has to do with this, with what if this is what Tim Burton's third Batman movie would have been like, and there was so much stuff and what direction and everything they were to go into, and Michael Keaton, and just it's insane. If you ever get time to look it up, it's like Tim Burton's forgotten third Batman movie, Batman 3. It'll just blow your mind, because basically one thing that the Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan took from it, was they wanted to do a backstory of what you saw in Batman Begins, but they never did that. The Warner Brothers didn't go with that, and so Christopher Nolan went with it, and it turned out great, because I believe Michael Keaton, he praised Batman Begins when it came out, because that's what he wanted to do like this big backstory of how seeing Bruce Wayne go through the training and everything, and Noel took that and he ran off with it, and it was gold, man. It was fantastic. It definitely was.
Oh yeah, that whole trilogy is fantastic, and just everything with Chris Nolan and that, like I said, that entire trilogy. But also, I also watched an interview with Michael Keaton because he's like, I saw Nolan's and kind of exactly what we wanted to do, and then they're like, well, why didn't you do Batman 3? And he's like, oh, because the script sucked. And I was like, dang, Michael Keaton, way to stick to your guns. I mean, I'll tell you something though. I'd be remiss to not mention this every time Batman Forever comes up. I personally don't think that movie is very great. One of the movie nights, he's been on the audio podcast once, not in the video, but he takes part in every short film we make.
Right.
His name is Nick Iricchio. One of my best friends. The dude loves Batman Forever like it's his baby. Like every chance he gets to talk, like we'll be in a public setting and someone will bring up Batman and he's like, Batman Forever is the best one, and they all look at him funny, and he just like stands up and defends himself and like goes through like why that movie is so great, and it's just so much fun to watch him do it.
I understand what they were trying to do with the third Batman movie, because with the marketing and stuff, after you watch that film that on YouTube there on why they went to direction with the third Batman movie, the marketing and stuff, they wanted to sell toys to kids. They wanted to advertise it as kid, not nothing dark. So that's why it was kind of goofy comic bookish. But Batman and Robin, God, I mean, George Clooney, he made a great Bruce Wayne, but he sucked at Batman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, like, even with like interviews with Clooney, he's like, I'm so sorry for that movie. And there's that famous like part in Batman and Robin where like, every Batman movie has the I'm Batman moment.
Yeah.
And it's always awesome in every single movie, but in Batman and Robin, it's literally George Clooney just monotone as hell, and he goes, "Hi, Freeze, I'm Batman."
Yeah, "Hi, Freeze, I'm Batman."
It's just like you see that clip, and you're just like, "Oh man."
Yeah, that's crazy. and during that time when he did Batman and Robin, he was still on, I believe, ER. He was still doing that movie. I was just waiting for him to run out and say, when someone got hurt, he's like, "Don't worry, I'm a doctor."
They missed a golden opportunity to make that movie better.
I know. That's crazy. At least one thing is I got to see Alicia Silverstone in hot, tight spandex. And
True. And I think that was right after Clueless, too.
Yeah. She showed off that ass and that tight spandex there, man. I mean, damn.
Yeah, but then, also George Clooney's bat suit had freaking nipples on it. And it's just
Chris
like,
O'Donnell.
why, man?
Chris O'Donnell. That's probably why Chris O'Donnell, you don't hear much from him anymore. I mean, well, he's on that one. He's on Hawaii Five-0, I believe.
He's on a TV show.
Yeah,
I know he's on a TV show.
Yeah, he bounced back from that, definitely. I mean, from doing Batman and Robin.
Yeah, but the crazy thing that a lot of people don't really realize about Batman and Robin is for a period of almost 10 years, that killed comic book movies.
It did. I agree with you.
More like 5 years. But no studio was greenlighting one. None. And it literally took until the first X-Men movie to come out for people to be like, all right, we can start making these again, and then we are where we are now.
Yeah. Actually, I have to say, 1999 X-Men, that changed everything because it's like, oh, you could do a movie like this. But if you look back around that time when Batman and Robin came out in 97, there's another movie that came out that was dark, was Blade.
Yeah, Blade came out, and and a lot of people kind of take that movie for granted in terms of comic book movie. But the thing that was unfortunate is the marketing and the studio didn't really use the comic book part of that as its brand. They kind of branded it as sexy vampire movie.
Right.
And now obviously if you make that now, which I think Marvel got the rights back to it, if you make a movie like that now or a TV show like that now, you're putting Marvel all over that thing.
Yeah, you definitely are. Because that was one of my favorite ones right there, Blade. I enjoyed all three Blade movies. I know the third one gets some heat and stuff and everything, but I liked the third one because you had Ryan Reynolds as Hannibal King. He was fantastic in it. Jessica Biel, she was great as Whistler's daughter. And then, of course...
I totally forgot she was even in it.
Yeah, and then, of course, you had one of my favorite all-time WWE wrestlers, Triple H. Yeah, that was great. That was great, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he did great in that movie, Triple H. I mean, I was like, when I heard he was in the movie, I'm like, I'm going to see it. I'm definitely going to see it. And then just the... I like the story. It's like, we're going to kill all the vampires. We know how to kill them all now. Now, will that kill Blade or will he live? That was the big question mark about it.
Yeah.
And of course, they could have did better on Dracula, for God's sakes, man. They could have brought someone in better. I mean, Dominic, whatever his name was, who played Heatwave and Legends of Tomorrow and Prison Break.
Oh, yeah.
They could have did better. They could have picked someone, though, but I guess it was just a paycheck for him.
Yeah.
It probably was. Who knows? Who knows? But real quick, we're going to take a quick break. We want to give a shout out to the sponsors of Podcast City Network. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss more here with Dalton about Movie Nights Podcast and much more. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
The following support and sponsor Podcast City Network. City Limits Tap Room, sports bar in DeLand, Florida, has brew on tap, serve food, the grilled cheese is excellent. For upcoming events, check out City Limits Tap Room on Facebook.com/City Limits Tap Room. Atlantic Sounds has thousands of new and used vinyl records and CDs. If they don't have it, they can order it for you. Same location since 1982. For more updates on what's new, check out Atlantic Sounds on Facebook.com/Atlantic Sounds Vinyl. Sports Sanity Customs have worked with organizations from custom embroidering polo shirts to jerseys for your kids' baseball team. They do it all. Armed with state-of-the-art equipment and an in-house design team, they are equipped to take on your next project. Visit their website to learn more, sportsanitycustoms.com. Visit Sports Sanity Customs on Facebook.com/SportsSanityCustoms. 3Count Design offers a wide range of graphic design products, video, photography and other forms of media. Everything from t-shirt designs to websites. Visit Facebook.com/3CountDesign for more. Demo Blast Studios, an explosion of imagination. Original artwork, podcasts, video, apparel and more. Visit DemoBlastStudios.com. Visit Demoblast Studios on Facebook.com/Demoblast Studios, the best family entertainment pro wrestling show in the state of Kentucky. Kentucky's Own Wrestling brings quality family vintage wrestling to a town near you. Kentucky's Own Wrestling offers a ladies division in wrestling and a training school. Kentucky's Own Wrestling is the current longest running Southern promotion. Visit Facebook.com/Somerset Kentucky's Own Wrestling. All supporters and sponsors are brought to you by Podcast City Network.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
Right before we get back into this, I want to make an announcement. Be sure to check out over on podcasty.net Audio Madness Month. It's been going on for the whole month of March. We just put up a poll for you, the viewer, the fan, and the listener, to pick your favorite podcast out of the Audio Madness Month. You just got a few days left before March ends, so head over to podcasty.net and pick your favorite Audio Madness podcast for the month of March. Voting ends on April 1st. And be sure to check out Kentucky's Own Wrestling on March 30th. If you're in the area there, for Kentucky's Own Wrestling presents Double Danger, the original double ring over the top rope battle royal, with the main event of Kentucky's Own Wrestling's heavyweight champion Matty B, takes on the challenger. Matty B takes on the champion Chief Tomahawk. So be sure to head over to the old Shopville Gym on 144 Shopville Road in Somerset, Kentucky. Ringside seats are $10. Bleacher seats are $5. Doors open up at 7:30. Bell time 7:30 p.m. So be sure to attend that. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. And my audio did not work again. So anyway, at least I winged it. But you can hear it on the audio portion of this podcast when it comes available later on in the week. But I'm sitting here talking with Dalton Burdette. He is one of the hosts of the Movie Nights podcast. And I want to ask you, since we were talking about doing with film production and everything that you did at UCF and you majored in film, you've done some short films, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Can you tell me about the short films you did?
Yeah, of course. In terms of like quote-unquote official short films, I've done 2, and what I mean by official is like it officially qualified for like IMDb and festival runs and stuff like that. I've only done 2, but I've been making short films, since high school.
Right.
But with the movie nights, we've been making short films since like 2015, but just nothing, crazy, just YouTube, show the family, things like that. And we made our first official one in 2017, and it was called No More Safe Haven. And it is a horrible title, but when we made the title, we all sat down and was like, all right, let's try to come up with a better one. And then we all were just completely like writer's blocked on titles. So that ended up being the title, but hey, it's all good because I like the film and how it turned out. So, but basically that film was the first time we ever got into a film festival. We got into a few, but we got into one that actually like had a live screening of it, and that was the Hollywood, Florida Film Festival. And it was such an amazing experience, incredible event. It was run by Min Collins and Simona. Oh, I forget her name. Last name starts with an L, and I feel so bad because she's such a great person. But Min and Simona were so great, and just the event was amazing, and it was Cloud 9, and because that was also the first film that I collaborated with the other host of the Movie Nights podcast, Ryan Warner.
Yes.
He came in after production was done. We worked at the same place, and surprise, surprise, it was a movie theater. And I was telling him about I need finances, I need a producer, the things I learned about in school that I should have taken more seriously. And then he was like, well, I'll tell you what, man, I can help you. I can produce this thing. I can get word out there about it. And I was like, dude, please just help me out with it, man. And we, he helped me out, and we got it out to festivals. And like I said, we ended up at the Hollywood, Florida Film Festival. And that festival, I mean, I already used the phrase Cloud 9, but like I got to put you into perspective. So literally like 2 weeks before this festival, I was working in a kitchen at a movie theater, and I had people yelling at me because their food wasn't right, and sweating my ass off behind the counter, and leaving the building at like 4:30 in the morning just to go back at like 2 p.m. the next day. So I get to this festival with Ryan, and the first thing we do is we walk up, and there's like the opening night took place at like a club. And we walk up, we're like, hi, we're filmmakers, we're here for opening night of the festival. And they're like, oh, right this way. They gave us like these badges. We're like, this is pretty cool. And then, we go in this club and we sit down on these chairs, and there's a red carpet in front of us. We don't know what it's for.
Right.
And then, the night begins, and they're like, all right, guys, the night's officially begun. Let's start this festival. And dude, I shit you not, coming out of 2 doors behind us was about a dozen waitresses, all in fishnets, with free drinks, and the red carpet was for supermodels that they had hired to just walk the red carpet for all the filmmakers.
Nice.
And I looked over at Ryan. I was like, what the hell is happening right now? like is this like some sort of dream? Like, what's going on? And then we watched the opening night film. It was fun, and then we were like, oh, there's no way every night's going to be like that, right? Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then you go to the other screenings, and the event started on a Thursday, but our film screened on a Saturday.
Right.
And so we went there on Saturday. I'm nervous as hell, and we're sitting down, we're watching all these short films, and like the Nick who I mentioned earlier, sitting right next to me, and this is quite a story. In the opening shot of the movie, I also act in it, and I'm shirtless. And I've gone through some weight loss recently, but at the time, let's just say I was less than stellar looking. Yeah. And the lights go down. They're about to click play on our movie, and I'm like a nervous wreck. My legs are shaking. And Nick, I feel a tap from Nick, and I'm like, oh, he's about to say something nice and reassuring. And he goes, hey, everyone in this room is about to see you shirtless. And then they clicked play. And I was like, dude, are you kidding me right now? And like right before it played, but I am beyond just blessed and grateful because the whole time, you're watching, you're like, God, are they gonna like it? Are they gonna like it? And then the lights went down, and thunderous applause from everybody. It was such a great, just humbling moment. And just for someone who, like this movie was made for virtually no budget. I think $2,000 when you calculate the cost of the equipment and stuff. And it was just an insane experience. And then, like, literally my family was there for the screening, and the next day was the awards night. And my family's like, all right, do you want us to get, like, a hotel and stay? And we were like, no, just go home. Like, we appreciate you guys coming. This was such a nice thing that you guys did. And then we go to the award ceremony the next night, and we're sitting there, and, like, we're cracking jokes, honestly, because we lived, like, 7 hours away from where it was, and we had to drive. And it was pretty late at night, so we were literally, as they were like giving out awards, me and him were calculating, like, all right, if we leave at 10, we'll probably be okay on the way home. But like, do you want to stop off and get like McDonald's or something? I know like the apple pies are good. Like, we're just trying to figure out how we're going to get home. And then you hear in the background, they're giving out awards, and they were like best actor in a short film. And we're still just, blah, 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 blah. And then they say, Dalton. And me and him had the same reaction. We looked at each other and we were like, no shit, there was another Dalton. That's crazy. And then they were like, Burdette. And then there's like a brief moment, like before, because obviously when they say the names of the winners, everybody claps.
Right.
There was a brief moment before the clapping where it's just like silence, like right before.
Uh-huh.
And in that silence, I literally just stood up and went out loud in front of everyone at this very bougie, nice place, get the hell out of here. And I just like started walking up to the front. Like it was the most unexpected thing because, it was crazy. Like literally,
yeah,
it was the first time like we really just tried to make a movie, and we had gotten denied from like 9 other festivals. So we were like, whatever, we didn't do great, it's fine.
Right.
And, to sit there and be recognized was such an awesome moment, and I'm very grateful again to Min and Simona for making that all possible. And I met so many great people while I was there,
right?
Great connections, and it was so great, especially just because making it was a little difficult. It basically, the whole plot of it is just, a guy is on the run from people from his past, and they finally catch up to him, and he's got to fight them. It's like a little action movie.
Nice.
And I was able to land a building that's UCF related because I went to an after-school club that was in the building, and I begged the people to let me film there. And they were like, yeah, okay, but it's got to be after all the activities are done, but you have to be out by 8, or you have to be out by 10, I think 10 o'clock was the latest we could stay. And I'm like, all right, that's not a lot of time, but whatever. So I'm just grateful that we have a building. So we go to this building, and we had practiced choreographing the fights about a week or so before, so we were good in terms of what we had to do. And then it was funny, the person who was chaperoning us, because they had one of the workers chaperoning us, his name is Paige, great guy, he had not read the script.
Huh.
But I had to send it to him, just to get permission and stuff. But he had not read the script. He just knew that we were there to film, and he was doing work in his office. Right. And at one point during filming, he walked out into his office, or he walked out of his office into the filming area, and he sees me covered in bruises and fake blood, holding a prop glass bottle, and someone pretending to be dead on the floor. And he's just like, yeah, I should have read the script, and then just kind of walks back into his office. But it was such an awesome thing to do. But the thing is, we had, by the time you get the camera set up and the audio set up and everything ready to go, we had 2.5 hours to film relatively complicated fight scenes. I mean, they're not kung fu movie fight scenes, but enough to where we had to practice the choreography ahead of time.
Right.
And we shot it in 2 days. And it was just a wild experience. And during it, we were drenched in sweat when we were doing this. And all of me and the actors, we were just like, God, are we this out of shape? What the hell is going on here? And turns out they didn't tell us, but after 8:30, they shut the AC off.
Uh-huh.
So the whole time we were just fighting in incredible heat, which would have been nice to know going in.
Right. That would have been nice. That would have been nice, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Right.
That's crazy.
I think one of the best memories from filming that particular short film, and it's another Nick story. I gotta get him on my podcast more, and hopefully even get him on here maybe. But he's just a funny guy. But we were filming a scene, and we had landed this actress. Her name is Vittoria Resinetti.
Uh-huh.
And she is an amazing, amazing actress, way better than any of all of the movie nights combined. I'm sure she could have stepped behind the camera and directed the damn movie better than I could. She was just immensely talented. She's at the New York Film Academy now. She might have just graduated. I don't know.
Right.
But, she's, insanely good. And she has a role she plays, in the flashback, she plays my love interest in the movie.
Uh-huh.
And so we were filming that scene, and, we had no money. So, we invite this actress to my house. And, we go, I'm like, all right, we're shooting the scene in here, go into my bedroom. And so, all these red flags are going up in her head.
Uh-huh.
And then so we set up the lights to get everything going, and Nick was in there helping us with the audio.
Yeah.
And, we're getting ready to shoot the scene, but we kept messing up the lights. We knocked one over, and we were just arguing about what to do. And then, we noticed Victoria's sitting there wow, this is what I signed up for, you know. And then Nick just looks her dead in the eyes and goes, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wow, these guys have absolutely no idea what you're doing. And you know what? You're absolutely right. But here's the thing. Every time we do this, the end product is freaking awesome. So just work with us.
That's nice.
And,
so
it's just like, all right, man.
So did that broke the tension, didn't it, with her?
Yeah. It made everything much easier. And
that's good.
I had a few interactions with her before, so it wasn't like cold or anything, but still, you could tell that it was getting weird.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
she's like,
yeah, that was a lot of fun. Another short film that we made that is on IMDb, and it's been trying to do the festival runs. We've got a few denials, but we're trying to, get it to land somewhere at a festival. It's a comedy, and it's called The Long Hard Day, and it is about someone who takes an erectile dysfunction pill and it won't go away, so they have to call his friend to try and get him to the hospital. But the movie is about them just trying to get to the hospital and everything going wrong.
Oh,
like,
man.
there's nothing they can do just to get to the hospital.
Damn.
And it's a really funny concept. That film was an absolute nightmare to make.
Was it?
It shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been.
Right.
It should have been really easy, a couple days, in and out, done. But I was stupid, and I wrote a script that had a lot of locations, and I did our schedules at the time, like it was like right when I was getting ready to graduate, and I had gotten an internship, and I was, and my cinematographer, the amazing cinematographer I work with, his name is Kyler Wagner, he's incredible.
Yeah.
He had just gotten a new job, so everyone's schedules ran a whack. We started shooting in April of 2018. We shot for about 2 days, and then we didn't start shooting again until like September. And then when we got to September, we were like, we might as well just redo what we did. We all look freaking different. Like, there's no point. So
yeah,
we just restarted from scratch, had to do the whole thing again. And, it has obviously some continuity errors, and it's got some structural issues that I personally have with the film.
Yeah.
But I've been very grateful in that a lot of people I showed it to have just said, dude, I laughed my ass off and I thought it was funny. And like, honestly, that does wonders, especially when you've worked on this thing for a year and you just want to throw it out a window.
Yeah.
And, hearing people respond very positively to Long Hard Day was very nice. And Ryan is actually my co-star. It's us both starring in it.
Oh.
And that was a lot of fun to make. And little trivia on that one, there's an entire sequence where both Ryan and Kyler were hungover out of their minds. Because we had some party the night before, and they just went ballistic. And we woke up the next morning, and we filmed probably for 2 hours in the middle of St. Cloud, like in the blaring heat, just filming all this stuff. They got back into the car. We were about halfway home, and Ryan just rolls down my window and just starts throwing up on the highway as we're driving. And it was amazing. But the thing is, Kyler is such a good cinematographer. I'm pretty sure he was still drunk that morning. I don't think he was hungover. I think he was still drunk, and the shots still looked fantastic. And I'm like, all right, you can do no wrong. I don't understand how he does that.
That's great. That is great, man. Sounds like you had a lot of fun making those movies and going to the film festivals, and that's damn. That reminds me of a friend. I'm just laughing about that. A friend, we were driving down the road, and he was like, "I'm getting sick," and it's like, roll down the window. Or no, he was gonna puke inside the car. We're like, no. He rolls down the window, and it's like, and it sprays, and it's like, thank God we're driving on the back country road because there's no fucking cars behind us. Oh, damn.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Since we were talking about movies, earlier, our favorite movies, let's talk about what's coming out this year. What new movies are coming out this year? What movies are you looking forward to coming out this year?
One I just saw that I was looking forward to was the new horror movie Us, which I thought was fantastic. But in terms of just stuff upcoming, obviously I'm a big comic book fan, so bring on Shazam, bring on Avengers Endgame, bring on Hellboy, all that good shit. I'm ready for it. there is a Netflix movie coming out towards the end of the year called The Irishman, which is directed by Martin Scorsese, that he's been trying to get made for a long time. And apparently the budget of this thing is insane because it's Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and I think even Al Pacino. But for the first half of the movie, they're going to digitally de-age them, and then it's going to time jump like 50 years.
Oh, nice.
So I'm very curious to see how that's going to look and how that's going to turn out, because Netflix was the only company that would take that movie.
Right.
I'm also, let me think. Wow, I'm blanking now. But I'm also Pet Sematary is coming out in like a week. I'm really looking forward to that. That looks scary as shit.
Yeah.
The Curse of La Llorona is another horror movie coming out. I love horror movies, so I'm ready for all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think in September, speaking of horror, I think in September, It Chapter 2 comes out.
Yeah.
And there's no trailer yet, but I'm really ready for that. And the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie is coming out in October, and I am super excited for that movie.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be awesome.
I'm excited about that one, too, because I want to see how they're going to pull this off and what they're going to do with it, because Martin Scorsese, I believe he's directing it, right? If I remember.
He's producing it.
He's producing it, okay.
He's producing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's directed by Todd Phillips, who made War Dogs and The Hangover, actually.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what he can pull off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it definitely did. It definitely will be. Irishman, yeah, I heard about that. I'm looking forward to seeing how that movie's going to turn out. The Hellboy remake, I'm going to pass on it because Yeah, because I'm a fan of Hellboy. I'm a fan of the first two films with Ron Perlman. He did a fantastic job. I'm a fan of his work there. I was a fan of when he did Sons of Anarchy. That was one of my favorite shows to watch on Netflix. I'm just a fan of him. And then when I watched a recent interview he did right before Hellboy 2, or actually when the first trailer came out for the remake, and he gave his take on it and stuff, he's not too happy with it. And because I wanted to see where they could have went with a third movie with him. But it's just, I'm just going to pass on it. If it comes on Netflix, I'm going to watch it. But I mean, the guy they got to pick, he sounds and acts just like what Ron laid down for what Hellboy was supposed to be. And I'm just gonna pass on it because I feel it's just like Ron Perlman's my Hellboy. But it looks it looks good. It looks good, but it's not pulling me in. It's like you see something, you're like, oh, that looks great, but you're like, it's like if it would have pulled me in, I would have been like, yeah, I'm gonna go see this, but I'm just not pulled in by it. But comic book movies, the other comic book movies, I'm looking forward to Avengers Endgame. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I've been waiting for that for a whole year. Just at the beginning of this month, I went and seen Captain Marvel, and
nice.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good filler movie to hold you over for Avengers Endgame and what's to come and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was, speaking of Avengers Endgame, I subscribed to this one guy on YouTube, Cosmic Wonder, and I'm at the point where I'm about to unsubscribe to him because it's like every other day or freaking day, 2 or 3 things come out about Avengers. And what did it for me was talking about the shot where Paul Rudd, Ant-Man, it shows him like looking at the tree with the missing posters on it, and then his whole 2-minute 3-minute video was about is he taking the laboratory with him or is he not? He's holding on to something. There's speculation. It's like, enough of damn speculations, man. I'm sick of it. I hate those YouTube channels they throw out there every other day. It's clickbait, and then when you click on it, you're like, really? All you're talking about is the briefcase he's holding. That's it. There could be speculation. That could be the laboratory. He took it with him. I don't care. I want to know if someone leaked a photo of Hulk in spandex or something, and it has an important part in the movie. That's all I care about. Nothing like that. I mean, just you get what I mean. But I'm looking forward to seeing Endgame, and I'm looking forward to seeing Spider-Man: Far From Home. But a lot of people were jumping the gun on Far From Home. They're like, Jake Gyllenhaal, playing Mysterio. It's like the rumor is Mysterio is going to be a good guy and he's working with Spider-Man. But a lot of people don't remember, that didn't follow the character in the comics. Mysterio, he was really good at making things look like, they're real, but they're not. He's
illusions. He's an illusionist.
Yeah, he's an illusionist. So what I get from this, when I first saw the trailer for it and stuff, and people are like, yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal, Mysterio, yeah, he's fighting along Spider-Man. No, he's not. He's fooling you. No, he is fooling your ass.
He's probably trying to come across as the hero, and he's setting up all these things happening. At least that's what I think.
Yeah. He's fooling everyone. He's looking like a hero, but he's not, because if you follow the character in the comic, he was a failed stuntman, a failed actor. He was an illusionist, and this right here, I'm excited to see Mysterio, because mentally, this is a challenge for Spider-Man, Peter Parker, because mentally, this guy Mysterio almost made Spider-Man reveal his secret identity. No one's ever done that.
Yes, that was a big thing. Yeah,
that was a big thing. He made an illusion where Spider-Man, Peter Parker, was going to reveal himself as Spider-Man. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, to see how that goes down. And
I completely forgot about it. I'm glad you brought it up, because I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah, everyone's like, ooh, Mysterio. It's like, yeah, he's an illusionist, man. It's like he's pulling your leg. He's pulling your leg. It's almost like the Wizard of Oz. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. That. That's who he is. He's the man behind the curtain, and he's evil. He's evil. That's the way I look at him. But yeah. You were talking about Us. I was talking to a friend today, and he went and seen Us, and I said, "How was it?" He said, "Man," he said, "I got to go back and watch that movie, but I don't want to, because I don't really like watching movies I have to watch again." And he says, "It is not what you expect." I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah." He said there was something at the end or towards that he still does not get, and it looks terrifying. It looks great. It looks freaky, man. It's one of those great movies.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and it has one of those endings where you're like, damn it, now I got to go watch the movie again. It's just like how he described, but some people don't dig that, and that's fine. But I loved it. I was like, yes, oh my god, more of this.
Yeah, and you mentioned Pet Cemetery. That looks good because they redid it. What was it, last year, a couple years? It's almost been 2 years since it came out, the first remake.
Yeah,
and that was huge. It did great, and this one's going to knock it out. It's going to be even better, because the first original, scared the shit out of me as a kid. I didn't want to take a shower there for a while because it's freaking Tim Curry.
Dude, the shower thing is what messed me up too when I watched it.
God, that's freaky, man. Tim Curry. God, he scared the shit out of me. He
killed it, man.
He did. His two best roles, Rocky Horror Picture Show and It.
Yep. He hit it right on the money.
Yeah. There's just his two best roles right there that I love. And yeah, there's so many good movies, so many films, good stuff that's coming out this year that you're excited about. I'm excited about to see. And it's going to be a great year for the rest of like comic book movies, like Shazam. That looks funny. That looks entertaining. Because my daughter, my 2-year-old daughter, she loves. I'll put on Nickelodeon, and she watches cartoons on there and stuff. And they're always advertising Shazam on there. So I think they're going to attract. I believe that movie is going to attract more of a kids base to it. But adults and stuff, the fans of the character will attend and see that.
Oh yeah, and I like how they're kind of doing like Tom Hanks is big, but as a superhero. I think that's just an interesting concept.
Oh yeah, yeah. One of my other favorite movies. They're big. We always got the same style, like movies that we both like, that we're fans of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, like, that's another reason why I love movies so much. It's so fascinating how two completely different or similar people can like the same movie, and vice versa. Like, I know people who are completely opposites of me, but we both like the same movie, and I know people who we're practically the same person, but we both hate a movie, or I like it and he hates it. Just, it's crazy.
Right. It is.
Really quick, I'm sorry. A movie I forgot to talk about was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino's new one. I cannot wait for that.
Yes, I was trying to remember which one that was. I knew Tarantino has one out. Is that the one that has Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio in it, I believe?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's the one.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one I was trying to remember right there. Okay, yeah, definitely. Since we're talking about, you brought up Quentin Tarantino, film director. If you had ever had a chance to actually work with a famous celebrity or collaborate with a famous director, who would that be?
Ooh, that's
many.
a killer question.
I know. So many.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, so many come to mind, but, and I got to think about it because, like, as an actor, who would I like to, like, work with as a director? And as a director, who would I like to, like, direct acting-wise? Mm-hmm. I think a director that I would love to act for that's still working today, because obviously I could go through all of history and be like, I love this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. But in terms of people just working today, I would love to act for Christopher Nolan.
Nice.
Just so I can just sit there and watch him be a genius, because I feel like it's entertaining. I just feel like being in the same room as him is just energetic, because I've loved every film that guy makes. And the fact that he can, 1 year he can do Batman, and then the next year he can do Inception, like, that's insane how he's able to just diversify his films like that.
Yes.
And as an actor, I would love to work with him. And if I was a director, I think an actor or an actress I would really like to work with is I would love to work with Haley Steinfeld. She is an actress. She was most recently in Bumblebee, and she kind of got famous when she did a movie, the remake of True Grit. And I think she is such a talented actress, and one of my favorite movies I've seen with her was a growing up, like, John Hughes type movie. It was called The Edge of 17.
Yes.
And she gives such, like, a real performance in this movie, and Woody Harrelson plays her teacher, and they have such an interesting dynamic, and there's a lot of comedy and drama, and the way she was in that movie, she's able to take you from feeling all the emotions, and just how she was able to do all of that. And each movie that she's in, she, like, no two roles of hers are really the same.
Right.
And I just feel like she is someone who can just she could take a mediocre script and elevate it into a good movie with just her performance. So I think, like, as a director, I'd love to work with her if I had the chance.
Nice. Really, really good. Really interesting on who you picked there. I like it. I definitely like it. And thank you. You're welcome. Talking about movies, Movie Nights podcast. How did that come about? And tell me and the listeners and the viewers more about Movie Nights podcast.
Very happy to. The Movie Nights podcast started last year, and it was something that me and my great friend and fellow producer, Ryan Warner, we really wanted to start, because, we had the Movie Nights channel, YouTube channel, and quote-unquote production company, just since 2015, just making short films, doing skits, things like that. And I always wanted to do podcasting, and I had a couple that I tried, and then they lasted like 3 episodes and then stopped doing them. And I was talking to Ryan one day, and I was like, man, I'd really just love to get into podcasting, because I love talking about movies. I mean, in case you haven't been able to tell, but I just love doing it. And I was like, man, I just want to sit down and just talk about movies with someone and just put everything into it, uncensored, unfiltered, just our raw thoughts about movies, and he was like, hell yeah, man, let's do it. And, Ryan's great. He's always down for everything. And he's really brought an interesting perspective to the show. I love doing the show with him because, you always want to get someone who's 50-50 with you, because there are times where we agree a lot and there are times where we actually disagree a lot. And I think that's what makes the show more interesting,
Right.
is being able to kind of see two sides of the same coin. And another reason why I wanted to do it is because I love the film fan community. Like, there are a lot of movie podcasts that I like watching and listening to. And something that the film fandom really needs is it needs a lot less toxicity. Because recently, there's a lot of trolls out there who just try to, do things that are really unnecessary in the world of movies. And it's like, look, movies are a very sacred thing to me. I don't like it when people attack others because they don't like a movie, or try to, harass actresses off of Twitter because they didn't like a movie they were in.
Yeah.
Or, these things happen all the time, or, way more often than they used to, especially just, with social media, it's so much easier.
Right.
And I just, there's nothing wrong with disliking a movie. Even if it's a movie everyone else loves, if you don't like it, that's fine. Film is subjective. You either like it or you don't. And you can say why you don't like it.
Yeah.
No problem. But when you start looking at people saying you're stupid for not liking it, then that's where it becomes an issue and you need to reevaluate yourself. And I kind of just want to do it to promote less of that and more of just sharing opinions and debates about the topics rather than attacking others for why they feel that way.
Right. I totally agree. I feel like that's a problem right there, because for example, say I got on Twitter and we were talking about, let's just throw this example since we were talking about it earlier, like Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
I get on Twitter and I say, I hate this fucking movie. The shark, stupid. Or I mentioned something about how bad the acting is. The mechanical shark don't even look real, or something like that. And you get on there and you're like, well, I love this movie. And then I should be like, well, I just didn't like it. And I already stated why I didn't like it. And you say, well, I like it because acting's good, the shark, just everything that you can think of possible that's good. And then I fire back at you, and I start tearing you down because you like the movie. You see, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. And it's become something that people do nowadays on social media, because one person don't like something, then everyone comes down on them because if they don't like it, or if they like something, you get it from left, you get it from left and the right, you get it from all over, and they come at you. And it's just ridiculous, and they troll you about it, and it's not good. And I do like that, how I've watched a couple of your episodes of Movie Nights podcast since you guys joined the network, and I enjoyed the debate and the discussion on the topics and the movies that you guys talk about, you and Jake, and I love it. It's a refresher. It is. It definitely is a refresher. It definitely is. And
thank you for those kind words. And yeah, you kind of hit the nail right on the head. And but something, while also wanting to discourage from the insults and the trolling and things like that. And I'm glad you mentioned it comes from both sides, because it does. It comes from everyone. And yeah, but it's also about promoting healthy debate, because a lot of the times you'll talk to someone who had a completely different perspective on a movie than you did.
Yeah.
Whether it's how you grew up, how you do this, and then you can look at a movie in a completely different light than you didn't know before. And it doesn't have to change your opinion. You can still think the way you do about it. But now whenever you watch that movie, you can go, you know what? I may not like this, but somewhere in the world someone watched this and it changed their life. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just such a thing that you can hold on to and recognize. And another reason why I wanted to do this is because I just love movie news, and that's the main thing that we do on the show, is talk about what's going on in the world of movie news, movies coming out, drama. I mean, we stay away from celebrity gossip. I think that's stupid. I don't want to do that. Yeah. But in terms of people getting fired, people getting rehired, just a bunch of crazy things, because a lot of people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They just see what happens on the screen. Yeah. And I think it's fascinating, and especially box office numbers. And in our most recent episode, we went for literally 20 minutes about just how fascinating the box office numbers are when you see like trends and what movies people are going to see, and how like just something that I'll give an example of something we talked about was right now Captain Marvel is at the $900 million mark, and it's going to cross the $1 billion mark in a couple weeks.
Damn.
And and we were like, that's crazy that's happening. And then there are some people who are like, well, no, like it's a big Marvel movie, it's an action movie, like of course they're going to make $1 billion. And it's like, well, let me put it into perspective for you. Take Captain America Civil War, which was like a wet dream for comic book fans, where you got all the heroes in one movie fighting each other. Like, everyone wants to see that.
Yeah.
And it was built on a universe that started 10 years ago, leading up to this moment of them fighting, and that movie made $1.1 billion.
Right.
Now you have Captain Marvel, a character that no one who isn't a comic book fan had no idea who she was. They have no one in the mainstream movie-going audience. Like, if I called my uncle, he's not going to have any idea who Captain Marvel is.
Right.
A movie that really just is and it's not like we've also never seen this character, because Black Panther was also very, very successful, but something that, and not the whole success, because obviously it had a very cultural significance, but part of the success was he was in Civil War.
Yeah.
So people were watching Civil War for the action, like Captain America and Iron Man, and they saw Black Panther, and they were like, what the hell, this guy is awesome. So of course they go see his movie, but we have it literally on screen for the mainstream movie-going audience, had never, ever seen or heard of Captain Marvel before.
No.
And that movie is about to make $1 billion. That is crazy, especially with and that just goes to show, like, many people were just like, wow, this movie really connected with people, connected with young girls, and there was an untapped market of moviegoers that were sleeping on movies but went in spades to see this film, and that's crazy. And I'm literally like getting anxious and excited. I just find that so fascinating, of how like you can build up a universe, make a movie like Civil War that makes $1.1 billion, and then a movie that just comes out of nowhere, and bam. Now, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for the success.
Yeah.
And part of it is like, the Marvel brand's really strong. Brie Larson's an Academy Award-winning actress. You can go through all these things, but at the end of the day, it was a character that the mainstream, I mean, you were going to get the comic book audience anyway, but like mainstream people, because I bet you people didn't even know like Captain Marvel was originally a dude. That title gets passed around left and right. Like, there's so much history of that. People didn't care. They saw the trailers and went out to this movie, and it's going to make $1 billion freaking dollars, and that's insane.
It is. I enjoyed it. Like I mentioned earlier, I enjoyed watching Captain Marvel. I thought it was really good filler. I mean, there was some points in the movie where I felt like it just didn't. It dragged a little bit, but it was still good. It was still good.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
it had a good story. It had a good little plot twist there, because you didn't really know too much about who Captain Marvel was, and then her at the end, spoiler, finding out who she was, how she got her powers and everything, I thought was neat. And the Tesseract, that popping up again. Yeah. It's like, wow, where the hell has that been all this time? They explained it. Yeah. They explained it. Because you thought it was with Tony's dad, and then it ended up where it ended up at, and you're scratching your head. She had, okay, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. The mid-credit scene, I thought was great. I thought that was great.
Oh yeah.
Black Widow is like, whoever's on the end of that, it's like, let me know. As soon as she turns around, boom, right there. Where's Fury? First thing, where's Fury? You've been gone a long time there, honey. A lot of stuff has happened. But I am interested, and I cannot wait to see Avengers, and it's nuts that Captain Marvel's making that much. Of course, what's crazy, Dalton, is Yahoo News. This guy got on there and did this article and said that Disney's going to be kissing its Avengers $55 million franchise away. Well, first off, the guy who wrote that, I have to say, he didn't do his research much, because this is everything that's been going on with the comics, like you mentioned, 10 years. The 10-year buildup is coming, and it's ending. Okay, the franchise for Avengers, they can do another one with a different cast, a different cast, because in the comics, the Avengers have changed so much. I remember at one point you had Peter Parker and you had Wolverine in the Avengers. Okay, I mean, seriously. Now, if you look, they can make 2 more Captain Marvels. They can make another Ant-Man movie. You got the Eternals coming out. They could do 2 more Black Panthers. There's 5 movies right there. The third Guardians of the Galaxy, which is 6. A standalone Black Widow movie, 7. There's 7 movies right there.
And then the big kicker is Disney just purchased Fox, and now they have all the X-Men and Fantastic Four characters to mess with.
Yes, they have that. They have that. They got everyone's under one roof finally, under one roof, which is great. So the possibilities is endless now. Did you hear about Hugh Jackman said he would play Wolverine again if he could do a crossover of Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds?
I saw some comments about that, and Ryan always tries to joke and get him to do it again. Yeah. But I mean, we'll see what Disney wants to do. But right now, going through all if you go through the reports, apparently, supposedly, the plan is to reboot every character except Ryan Reynolds. And they want to keep Ryan Reynolds because you could just have him show up in a movie and make a joke that they're owned by the mouse, and then bam, that's covered, and you're good to go. Yeah, that's great. I mean, Fantastic Four, I know Fox had that. The first 2 Fantastic Four movies they did, I enjoyed them. I have them on DVD. I enjoyed those. The other day, actually, I sat down and I watched that remake of Fantastic Four. Oh, man. I understood where they were trying to go, but it failed. It just it was not good, and there were a lot of behind the scenes problems with that movie going on and back and forth, and Josh Trank fighting with Fox, the director of that movie, and that's what happens when you go through that. But interestingly enough, just you brought up Fan Four Stick, as I like to call it. I actually graduated from the same high school as Miles Teller did.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, and I got the pleasure of meeting him one time. He's a really nice guy. Sorry, that's random. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Awesome. I like that. But Venom, I thought Tom Hardy's Venom. Tom Hardy, he's one of my favorite actors, man. That guy. 2 of my favorite movies that Tom Hardy's done. Bronson. If you ever get a chance to see that, you got to see that because his acting is just great in that, and he's entertaining in that movie. And Warrior, where he gets into doing.
Dude, I love Warrior.
I love that.
So good.
Yeah, he comes in there, man. Nick Nolte's the alcoholic father, and it was great. That movie's great. And then I enjoyed him playing Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. I enjoyed him in that. He did something great in that. And Tom Hardy playing Eddie Brock. That is how Eddie Brock's supposed to be. Eddie Brock is supposed to be this big guy. I mean, he was in the comics, man. He pushed Peter around there before he became Venom. And a lot of people just the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, I love those, but the third one I can only stomach so much. I mean, Topher Grace, I mean, he tried to do the best he can as Venom, but however, even Sam Raimi admitted this, man. He admitted it was the reason why the third movie turned out the way it did was because of the studio. It's like, you gotta have this, do this. It's like, come on, man. That's why it turned out the way it did. The third Spider-Man movie did. It could have been great if they would have backed off and let Sam do his damn job. Honestly. But
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, but Venom, did you enjoyed Venom with Tom Hardy? Because I sure the hell did.
All right. This is another one of those beautiful examples of how some disagreements can turn into beautiful conversation.
Okay.
I don't hate the movie.
Right.
I don't think it's like a horrible film.
Uh-huh.
But I will say I loved Tom Hardy, and I was very curious going in because, you know, when you read comics so much growing up, like with the dynamic between Venom and Spider-Man, you're like, man, I wonder how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that the way that they did it and the way they made that interaction, I thought it worked. I thought whenever Venom was talking to Eddie Brock, that's when the movie kind of shined and it worked.
Yes, it did. It did.
It was really entertaining. But, you know, just to me, the movie kind of fell short in the script. I just felt like it was very kind of rushed and meddled together, and a lot of it didn't flow well. I thought the first act, I thought the setup was just really bad, and I didn't really get much enjoyment until you got those interactions with Tom Hardy just talking to himself.
God,
you know,
yeah.
Every time that happened, I thought it was great.
That was great. That was great. When he starts having that interaction, he's walking down the street and he's talking to himself. It's just a symbiote. My wife, she got it for me for Christmas, and got it on Blu-ray for me. So we sat down one night, and a few nights after Christmas, and we sat there and watched it. And during the beginning of it, me and her agreed it kind of dragged, but when Eddie got in contact with the symbiote, that's when things started taking off, man. I was like, when he was on the phone talking to Michelle Williams, he's like, and then he starts talking to Eddie, and then he's like, I think something's wrong with me. I'm starting to hear voices. Of course you're not. He's like, it just started laughing. Just the interaction. If Sam Raimi would have done that with Topher Grace and the symbiote and Spider-Man 3, that would have been nice though, but I felt like that's something that was missing. But yeah, his interaction talking back and forth with him, which is great. And I feel that they did rush the script, like towards the end, they kind of rushed it, but in taking that story from the comics, with everything going on with the symbiotes taking over and trying to, taking over San Francisco, that I thought that was great. They pulled excuse me, from the source material, which is great. I love it when a comic book movie pulls from source material or something from a story from a comic. That's great. You've done your research. That shows. And Tom, just the interaction, and then his interaction with Michelle Williams and the doctor, the what do you call it? The restaurant scene was freaking great.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay, that was really funny. And I think one part of the movie where I will admit, while I didn't love the film, a part where I literally wanted to stand up and clap was the elevator joke. Yeah. Oh my God, that was so funny. That was so great. That definitely was. I enjoyed it. Now you'll laugh when I tell you this. Last night, me and my wife, we watched a movie that's been out for a while. I never got to see yet, and I finally got to see it. Deadpool 2. Man, you just now watched Deadpool 2? Yes, I did. I'm behind on some of the things, honestly. I am. I get behind on some of the things, and I usually don't catch it until they come on Netflix. For example, do you ever watch CW shows, Arrow, Flash? Not religiously, but I've watched episodes of them. Yeah. You should see my DVR on those things right now. What I do is I watch it like during the summer. I'll binge watch everything that I missed up on because I get so caught up and so busy and stuff. I get caught up running a network, doing podcast, being a father, being a parent. I get caught up on all that, working the 9-to-5 job. And so there's time when I do have time. It's like, what do I do? Watch a movie. What do I do? Watch a show. Honestly, I didn't even finish watching Luke Cage yet. I think I'm 3 episodes away from finishing season 2. I didn't watch season 2 of Iron Fist yet, or season 3 of Daredevil.
That's a,
dude,
I'm
season
behind.
3 of Daredevil is one of the best seasons of TV I've ever seen.
The Punisher.
Oh,
The Punisher. I just couldn't get into it. The first season.
no, it wasn't for you?
I got halfway through, and I'm gonna give it a chance. Honestly, I am, because Punisher is one of my favorite comic book characters. I am gonna give it a chance.
Yes.
I definitely am. I'm gonna give that a chance and try to catch up with it, so I can watch season 2 of it. But then,
What I'll say about Punisher is, like, I'm with you. Like, the Punisher is my favorite comic book character ever made. Love Frank Castle. Love the Punisher.
yeah, Frank Castle.
Season 1. No, but I was just gonna say season 1. When you go into it and you want to see, Punisher punishing fools, like, that's what you signed up for.
Yes.
And season 1 doesn't do that. But when you go back and watch it again, you see how much, like, character respect for Army veterans the show has, and how really it's a drama about coming home from war and not knowing what to do with yourself.
Right.
And it's not what you expected. It's not what you signed up for. But it's good. And then at the end, like the last 3 or 4 episodes, that's when it gets really bang bang shoot 'em up, and that's what you signed up for. And then season 2 has a great mix. Like, there's a good fight scene every 2 episodes of season 2, along with very good character moments. So I think if you get back into it, you'll love it. So I'm very curious to find out when you get back into that, because that'd be awesome to talk about.
Oh yeah. Because I got up to the point where the guy's in the backyard, and he dig a hole in his backyard, and he's sitting in the hole, and he's just sitting there. And then Frank's trying to find out. He's trying to track down. It's been forever since I watched it, but he's trying to track down something right now, and no one knows that he's alive, still alive, and which is good, because that makes it easy for him to move around and stuff. And that's about where I cut off at right there. I didn't finish watching, but I'm gonna get caught up. One show I'm really looking forward to coming out next month is the final season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge television event for everyone.
It's the last season of Game of Thrones. They're going to go out with a bang, and they've been keeping a hush-hush about a lot of things and a lot of speculation.
Oh, yeah.
Because I do, once in a while, I like to hit Reddit and find out what the hell people's talking about and what they're discussing.
Yeah.
And a lot of speculation on this can happen or that can happen, which is good theories. So people come up with good theories. I have a really good theory about how I think the show's going to end. And my theory is, I believe the show's going to end is one of them is going to die. Snow or Dragon Girl, Daenerys.
Yeah.
Daenerys or Snow's gonna die, and the assassin's sister, Arya, she's gonna pose as one of them. I think that's my speculation. Someone's gonna, or they may live. That's just another theory. There's so much going around. So much speculation on what's going to happen. But the fight scenes, dude, the fight scenes are going to be off the hook on that. They're going to be great. They're going to be
Oh, yeah. And Game of Thrones is another show that I need to sit down and watch every episode, but I kind of just catch some every now and then, or whenever my roommate watches one that he loves, he's like, yo, you got to come in and watch this episode.
Right.
And I remember I did see the fight scene. I forget what season it is, but it was the first time the White Walkers came out.
Yeah.
And I watched that, and that freaking blew my mind.
God, yeah. That the fight scenes, how they choreograph everything in that TV show, is just fantastic, and it's sad, that it's ending, but they've got to the end of the book, basically, and that's it. I mean, that's all she wrote. But they are going to be coming out with the prequel, I don't know, in the next couple years, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much they could build onto with that, I think, is going to be great, and what history and everything that was mentioned in the books before about the time back then, and I believe they got so much they can do, so much creativity, so much direction they can go, which I love. And then, of course, next season, Arrow's ending after 8 seasons, and then you have Supernatural that's ending after 15 seasons. Damn.
Yeah, that is a crazy run of a TV show.
And it is. It is. Who would have thought 15 seasons for Supernatural? And then Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
My question is with Arrow, now that show was the one that started it, and then you had the Flash, Legend of Tomorrow, and then kind of Supergirl kind of spin off from that, which what started.
Yeah.
Now, if Arrow's ending, will characters be guest characters? Show up as guest on these other shows? I think they might. I mean, Stephen Amell, he may show up on the Flash as Arrow or something.
Yeah. I'd imagine so, because I think it would almost be like an insane missed opportunity if they didn't have Stephen Amell pop up a few times on Flash or even Legends, Supergirl, or
right.
There's even talk, like it hasn't happened, but there's talk that they're going to try and incorporate Black Lightning in there somehow too.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But I think it would be a huge missed opportunity if they didn't include Stephen Amell in those shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because with his show, it was the one that started it. It started it for those shows right there, and having that show, I expected the other shows to end before that. I figured Arrow would go for at least 2 more seasons, not 8. But are they going to do what Smallville did? Smallville, back in that day, it ran 10. One of my favorite shows. It ran 10 seasons. And then all of a sudden, season 8 came up. Yeah, this is it. We're going on top. We got Doomsday coming in. And then all of a sudden, the ratings, because they kind of dipped, the ratings just shot up. They shot up for that show. And then they're like, damn, all these people started watching because they had, what's his name, who played Doomsday. He kept taking his shirt off, so the female audience started watching it more. That's all you got to do, man. Get a guy on there, get an attractive guy on a TV show, have him take his shirt off every other 5 minutes, man. Boom. I mean, look, rest in peace, Luke Perry, but God, look what he did on 90210. He took his shirt off every 5 minutes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Dylan.
Jason Momoa shirtless is why Aquaman made $1 billion. I'll say it.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, I haven't even seen that yet. I definitely like to check it out just because of the character. I know, the character's got so much hate over the years and stuff because it's Aquaman.
Yeah, he was kind of the joke of the DC heroes.
Yeah, he's a joke. Well, this Aquaman ain't joking around.
Nope.
Nope. I definitely.
He is here to steal your wife and not even care about
it. Yeah, definitely. I want to thank you for coming on tonight here and taking time out and coming on podcast and talking with me. I had a great time talking with you about films, being a fan of films and our favorite films that we agree or disagree with and why we like and don't like, and really great time.
I had an amazing time as well. Again, thank you so much. This truly means the world to me that not only that the Movie Nights podcast is part of the Podcast City Network now, but just to be a guest on the show, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Before we do leave, I want to ask you, where can people find more of Movie Nights podcast at and yourself on social media?
I would love to plug that. Movie Nights podcast on YouTube. The channel is just Movie Nights with a K because, we think we're smart. Movie Nights with a K on YouTube, on Facebook, at Movie Nights, on Twitter and Instagram. It's going to be at Nights_movie because some bastard took at Movie Nights on those. And for me personally, Dalton Burdette on Instagram, at Dalton Burdette, and on Twitter, just flip it around, at Burdette Dalton. I don't tweet much, but when I do, I don't get a lot of attention. So if you want to brighten up my day, just go ahead and like some tweets. And any new subscribers we get to the Movie Nights podcast and the Movie Nights channel be appreciated. Not only do we do the podcast every week, but we also we're trying to put out content every weekday, which is a challenge because of our schedules, but we're going to get it down. We've released several just fun videos about movies, and eventually when we get the time and money, we'll start cracking out more short films. So please subscribe to Movie Nights on YouTube and listen to the Movie Nights podcast.
Excellent. Thank you for coming on tonight. And before we do close, I do want to mention that you can find more Everett Lee Show at the following right here. Subscribe to Everett Lee Show on Stitcher Radio. Download that app for your smartphone and tablet. Libsyn.com. Everett Lee Show's on Libsyn.com. And on iTunes. Subscribe to Everett Lee Show on iTunes. And follow Everett Lee right there on social media. On Facebook, Everett Lee Show. And on Instagram, Everett Lee Show. And subscribe to the YouTube channel on Everett Lee Show for the audio portion of this podcast and many previous released podcast. And hit me up on Twitter at @TheEverettLeeShow. I'm Everett Lee, signing off. Thank you. Have a good night, and we'll see you again next week for another episode of The Everett Lee Show.